Guys, today we're going to talk about the first lesson in our second unit, which is actually chapter 3, unit 2. So we're going to start off with the distance formula, which should not be anything new at all. So the distance formula gives us the distance between 2 points. And so let's go. Okay, so I went ahead and wrote down the distance formula. A couple things is just all of these formulas that we're going to do today, and even like the slope formula, all this is saying like these 2's and 1's are just keep it consistent. So like keep the direction consistent. So if you have, I'm going to look at these down here. So if you go from like right to left with your x's, go right to left with your y's. So that's just like something general to keep in mind when you're looking at these. Okay, the second thing we're going to talk about is the midpoint formula, and then we're going to apply both of these things down here. Okay, so as you'll remember, this is the midpoint formula, and what I want you to think, don't get too mathy with it, you're just finding the average between the points. That always kind of helps me wrap my mind around what's going on there. Okay, so I think maybe the midpoint formula is a little bit easier, so we'll start there. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our two x's together. So -2 plus 7 and divided by 2. So we're getting the average between -2 and 7. And then same thing for my y. So 5, -1. So I'm going to say 5 plus -1 over 2. So this ends up being 5 halves, and this ends up being 4 halves, which is 2. So if I were to graph this, 2.52 would be my midpoint of that line. So what's going on here? Let's go ahead and graph that. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 7, -1. Okay, so we have this line here, and 2.52, so this is not going to be perfect, but that's going to be where that midpoint is. Okay, so let's talk about how we apply the distance formula. So just keep it consistent. So x2 minus x1, so I'll go this direction. You do not have to go that direction. That was just the way I was taught, and it's kind of just burned in my brain. So we're going to subtract them here. So I want you to notice the difference here. We're adding here and subtracting here. So I'm going to subtract the two x's together, and then we're going to square them. And then do the same thing with the y's. So same direction, -1 minus 5 squared. So this becomes 9 squared, which is 81. And this becomes -6 squared, which is 36. So remember, even if you have a negative, once you square it, -6 times -6 is a positive 36. So we're always going to be dealing with positive numbers here. So once we add this together, we get 17. So it's the square root of 117. So this distance right here, that is the square root of 117. Okay, so go ahead. Sorry, I don't know why this printed off with such small space. So go ahead and do this one and see how you do. Okay, again, this is midpoint. This is the distance formula for this one. And then for this one, midpoint and distance formula. Okay, so what we're now going to do is take each of these points and plot them on the coordinate plane. So -2, 5, -2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go ahead and do the other 5. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you can, that you plot your x's where they should be and your y's where they should be. So the orange dots, those are from the first problem. The red dots are from the second problem, and the green dots are from the third problem. So just make sure that your dots match up with mine. Okay, so now we're going to talk about finding intercepts. And this is really super helpful that I don't think a lot of people use it, especially like when you have a problem in this form. Um, Finding those x-intercepts to graph a line is really, really helpful. So to find the x-intercept, you're going to set y equal to 0, and to find the y-intercept, you're going to set x 0. So I just think about when I'm finding the x-intercept, I'm just focusing on the x term. And when I'm finding the y-intercept, I'm just focusing on the y term. Also, your x-intercept will always look, because this is 0, it will always look like something 0. And this is always going to look like, 0 something, so some number. Okay, so let's apply it to this one here. So find the intercepts and graph the equation. So to find the x-intercept, I'm not going to worry about the y. So I'm just going to say 2x equals 12. So my x-intercept is 6. So think about it as a point. So it's where it crosses the x-axis. So it's going to be 6, 0. So right. Okay, let's do the y-intercept now. So for the y-intercept, I'm going to cross out the x term and just focus on the y. So I have 3y is 12 divided by 3, y equals 4. So my y-intercept is at 0, 4, right there. And so what's nice is to graph a line, all you need is 2 points. So I've got those 2 points and I can graph my line. Problems like that go super fast. Okay, so there's another way that probably you guys are more comfortable with. I think it's more difficult. So you guys are really good about putting it in y equals x plus b form. So we're going to solve for y, so go ahead and do that. Okay, so I just want to make clear that this is the exact same equation as this. So when I graph this, my line is going to look like this. So I already know that, but this is just a different way of looking at it. So I'm going to take this. We're not going to focus on this anymore. So I'm going to look at this and I'm going to make an XY chart. So be easy on yourself. Like, do not mess with fractions over here. So I'm going to start with 0 because 0 times 2/3 obviously is 0. And so it's 0, 4. Also, you should know that because B is your y-intercept. So that is just jumping out at me anyway. So if I use 1 here, that's not going to be good because it's going to give me a fraction. 2 is going to give me a fraction, but 3 will not. So if I multiply 2/3 by 3, I'm going to get -2. So 3, I like it. So I have, when I plug in 3, I get -2 plus 4 is 2. I'm going to go over here, 1, 2, 2, right there. Okay, so another one would be 6. If I multiply this by 6, I'm going to get the 6 and 3 cancel out. So this will be -4 plus 4 is 0. Um, right there. So notice that nice line that it's making, and it's totally matching our line up here. Okay, so something else. Ooh, I do not like the way this printed off. Something else that students get confused with is what makes a horizontal line and what makes a vertical line. Well, first of all, horizontal lines, they look like this. And so think about like the sun on the horizon. And then vertical lines are going to look like that. So anytime you have a horizontal line, it's going to be y equals something. And anytime you have a vertical line, it's going to be x equals something. Also, let's talk about the slope. So this is not going up or down, even though mine looks a little crooked, I think. But this, you have a slope of 0. But this one, I cannot go directly up and down. So this is going to be undefined. So that's what you need to know about horizontal and vertical lines. So we have, I guess it's covering it up. So y equals 3 was my example here. So I'm just going to go up 3 on the y-axis, start there, because that kind of gives me my guide. And it is not going to be this way because that would make it a vertical line. It's going to be this way to make it horizontal. Okay, same thing with x. Let's see, my equation is covering up. X equals -1. So I find x equals -1 right there. And notice that if I went this way, if I got it wrong, you're always going to be stuck on the axis. We don't want that. So you want it, sorry, that looks really hideous, but you want it to look like that. Okay, so completely ordered pair. So each ordered pair satisfies a given equation. So we have this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and plug it in for my x value. This is my x value. This is my y value. X value, y value. So if I plug in 2 for x, I get -6 plus 6, so y equals 0. So 0 is going to go in there. But this one is my y value, so I'm going to go backwards. So I'm going to say -3 equals -3x plus 6, and then subtract 6. I got divided by -3, so x equals 3. And so that's how that works. And that's it, guys.